Tori Spelling grew up in a world most people only see on TV, with fame, money, and a last name that opened every door. But behind the headlines, her life has been far from easy. From hit shows and red carpets to family drama, marriage struggles, motherhood, money problems, and one inheritance story that shocked a lot of people. Tori's journey has been full of highs and hard falls. She has been judged, loved, mocked, and misunderstood, all while trying to keep going in public. And when the truth about what she received finally came out, it hit in a deeply personal way. She is more than a famous last name. Join us as we take a look at Tori Spelling's life from the very beginning, the spotlight, the struggles, and the woman she became. Raised in Hollywood, trained for the spotlight. Tori Spelling was born Victoria Davy Spelling on May 16, 1973, in Los Angeles. From the start, she was born into a world that already had power, money, and attention. She was the daughter of Candy and Aaron Spelling, and she grew up with her younger brother Randy, who later became a former actor. Her family background also mattered to her identity. Her parents came from Jewish families, and their ancestors had moved to the United States from Russia and Poland. Even her middle name had family meaning because it came from her paternal grandfather, David. Tori also went to a very elite all-girls private school, the Westlake School. Later, after she graduated, that school merged into Harvard-Westlake in 1991. So before the fame of her own career really took off, Tori was already growing up in a very high-profile environment. That alone would have shaped most people. But in Tori's case, it did even more than that, because her childhood was not only wealthy, it was also being pulled toward show business very early. Tori wanted to act from a young age, and her father helped that dream early. When she was just 6 years old, Aaron Spelling hired an acting coach for her. He also used his industry connections to help her get small roles on TV. That opened the door to guest spots on shows like The Love Boat, TJ Hooker, Hotel, Fantasy Island, Vega Dollars, and Saved by the Bell. This was not just a child playing around with acting. It was the beginning of a career that was being shaped inside the Hollywood machine from day one. At the same time, she was also growing up in extreme luxury. One story from that period says Aaron spoiled her with lavish shopping trips, and as a teenager, Tori could spend $50,000 to $60,000 in a single store. Candy Spelling later said in the New York Times, "I never did anything like that. She just went crazy." That quote says a lot about the world Tori was living in. She had access, money, and attention very early, but it also hints at a pattern that would later become a painful part of her life. And once she got older, she landed the role that made her name known everywhere. Donna Martin made her a star. At age 17, Tori got the role that changed everything. Donna Martin on Beverly Hills, 90210, a show co-produced by her father's company, Spelling Television. She played Donna for the full run of the series from 1990 to 2000, and that role became her first major career identity. She was not just Aaron Spelling's daughter anymore. She became a familiar face to a huge TV audience. During that time, she was also nominated for 2 Young Artist Awards. While she was still on 90210, she kept working in other projects too. She appeared in made-for-television films like A Friend to Die For, 1994, Co-ed Call Girl, 1996, and Mother, May I Sleep with Danger, 1996. She also worked in independent films including The House of Yes, 1997, and Trick, 1999. Another film credit is Scream 2, 1997, which also helped place her in pop culture outside her TV image. So, even though many people tied her name to Donna Martin, she was building a wider career at the same time. From the outside, this looked like a perfect setup. A famous father, a hit show, and steady work. But as her fame grew, her personal life started moving just as fast, and that would soon pull her story in a very different direction. Marriage, scandal, and a very public new chapter. While focusing on her acting career, Tori met actor and writer Charlie Shanahan when she starred in his 2002 play, Maybe Baby, It's You. They became a couple quickly and got married on July 3, 2004. The wedding was huge and expensive, with around $1 million spent. and even her custom Badgley Mishka gown reportedly cost $50,000. It looked like a fairy tale from the outside, but it did not last long. The marriage ended after about 15 months. Tori later said, "I went into the marriage with the best intentions, hopes, and dreams. But unfortunately, it wasn't long before those hopes and dreams became nothing but a fantasy." In July 2005, while filming the Lifetime movie Mind Over Murder in Ottawa, she met actor Dean McDermott. He was married at the time to actress Mary Jo Eustace, and Tori was still married too. Tori and Dean began an affair the night they met. Tori and Charlie separated in October 2005, and Charlie filed for divorce citing irreconcilable differences. The divorce was finalized on April 20th, 2006. Less than a month later, on May 7th, 2006, Tori married Dean in a private ceremony in Wakaya, Fiji. Tori later wrote, "I had to follow my heart," and added, "Ultimately, you have to realize that happiness is out there and not settle for anything else." That choice changed her life fast, and it also pushed her into a much more public, much more personal kind of fame, reinventing herself as Tori the brand. After the biggest years of 90210, Tori found a new kind of success by turning her own life into entertainment. In 2006, she starred as herself in the VH1 sitcom So Notorious, which made fun of her public image. Then, in 2007, she and Dean moved into reality TV with Tori and Dean. In Love, later called Tori and Dean Home Sweet Hollywood, which aired on Oxygen from 2007 to 2012. In the show, they pretended to purchase and run a bed and breakfast, Chateau LaRue, in Fallbrook, California. That series gave Tori a new career lane and brought her audience into her marriage, home life, and day-to-day decisions. In July 2007, she also became a minister to marry a gay couple at Chateau LaRue, and footage of that ceremony aired on the show. During this period, she also built business ventures around her name. Her fashion and jewelry line launched on HSN. She released her autobiography, Storytelling, on March 11, 2008, and then Mommywood on April 14, 2009. In 2009, it was reported that she would return as Donna Martin in the 90210 spin-off, and she appeared in episodes 19 and 20 of the first season as a special guest. By then, she had become more than an actress, and she knew it. In her own 2010 writing and comments around Uncharted Territory, she openly described how her life, work, and image had become all mixed together. That honesty made her relatable to many people, but it also exposed how heavy that life had become behind the scenes. The life she wanted, the pressure she couldn't escape. In 2010, Tori released her third book, Uncharted Territory, and she explained that she loved sharing her stories and connecting with people in both a funny and emotional way. She said, "I love sharing my stories and experiences with people and connecting to them on both a humorous and emotional level. The response to my first two books has been so amazing that I wanted to write a third one for my fans." Around this time, she also described a life that looked successful on the outside, but felt exhausting on the inside. In an excerpt from her book, she talked about a friend hearing a flight attendant say, "Welcome to Los Angeles, birthplace and residence of Tori Spelling." She found it funny, but it also made her think about how public her identity had become. She explained that after 90210 and many TV movies, her acting career had slowed, and reality TV gave it new life. Her name sold shows, magazines, books, and product lines. She said it clearly, "My life is a show. Myself is my business. My name is my brand." She wrote about being driven, always chasing ideas, and feeling like she could not slow down once opportunities came back. She even connected that work style to her father, saying she felt in some ways she was turning into him because he was also a workaholic who cared about every detail. She described late-night tweeting, stress, obsession with follower counts, and trying to build her brand while still being present as a wife and mother. She shared moments at home with Dean where she could not stop controlling things even when he tried to help. And then she gave one of the most honest lines in the whole story. "I got everything I thought I wanted, and it practically destroyed me." That line matters because it helps explain why the inheritance part of her story hit so hard. It was never only about money. It was about the life she was trying to hold together. The mansion, the fortune, and the inheritance shock. Tori and Randy grew up in extreme wealth, and the family home itself tells that story. Tori Spelling had a 56,500 square foot mansion built back in 1988. It had 123 rooms, including 14 bedrooms and 27 bathrooms, plus a beauty salon, cinema, and a 2-lane bowling alley. The grounds also had a swimming pool and tennis court. Tori Spelling was one of the most successful television producers ever, behind major hits like Charlie's Angels, Beverly Hills 90210, Dynasty, and The Love Boat. When he died in 2006, after a severe stroke at age 83, he left behind a fortune estimated at $500 million. He also owned what was described as the largest house in Los Angeles County, known as the Spelling Manor, where Candy, Tori, and Randy had lived. Based on all that, many people expected Tori to receive a very large inheritance. Tori herself also anticipated a sizable inheritance from her father's estate, but that is where the story turns. The estate was divided mainly between Tori, Randy, and their mother Candy, who was the executor. Tori and Candy were estranged at the time, even though Randy was not. In the end, Tori and Randy each reportedly inherited about $800,000. The bulk of the estate went to Candy, and she later established a $10 million trust fund for Tori's eldest child, and the trust fund was set up for grandchildren as the family relationship improved to some extent. Still, Tori and Candy admitted they were not close. Aaron's estate plan was changed 2 months before he died, and Alzheimer's disease was listed as a contributing factor on his death certificate. Tori said she met with her father before he died and that he sincerely believed $800,000 was enough for her to be set for life. She felt he did not really understand the value of money, even though he had so much of it. There was no court fight from Tori or Randy, and one reported reason was a no contest clause in the estate documents, which can penalize heirs who challenge a will or trust. So instead of a public legal war, the real fallout happened in private life and in Tori's finances. After the fortune headlines came real money trouble. The public saw the headlines about Tori Spelling's massive fortune, but Tori's real life after his death looked very different from what people assumed. The change in lifestyle hit her hard, and she even discussed on reality TV that she and Dean could not afford to pay for his vasectomy. That kind of detail shocked people, because they still connected her to the Spelling mansion and all that wealth. In her 6th book, Spelling It Like It Is, Tori openly admitted financial troubles. She linked them to the cancellation of her reality series, poor real estate decisions, and a difficult 4th pregnancy that led to a 10-week hospitalization. She explained it in her own words, saying, "As my real estate obsession persists, it's starting to look more compulsive. Moving is expensive, and I've put us in a precarious financial situation." That shows she did not present herself as a victim of only one event. She admitted her own choices also played a role. At the same time, the inheritance story stayed attached to her name because the gap was so dramatic. A father worth around $500 million and children receiving around $800,000 each. Candy also sold the mansion story into another headline cycle. She put the home on the market for $150 million in 2008, and it got sold for $85 million about 3 years later. So while the public kept seeing signs of Spelling-level wealth, Tori's own life was becoming a story about trying to adapt, work, earn, and survive in a much more modest way than the one she grew up in. And that gap between image and reality is exactly what makes this topic hit so hard. Because the tears in this story are not just about an inheritance amount, but about the life before it, the expectations around it, and everything that came after. A growing family, a shaken marriage, and a very public struggle. After Tori and Dean welcomed Liam and Stella, their family kept growing. They later welcomed Hattie Margaret, Finn Davey, and Bo Dean. On paper, it looked like the life she had always wanted. A big family, a public career, and a home full of activity. But the bigger the family became, the bigger the pressure became too. The pressure was not only about raising children or managing a busy home either. It was also happening while her life stayed public, and that made every personal problem feel bigger. And while she was trying to hold that family life together, more headlines were about to hit from inside the marriage itself. In 2013, another major crisis hit when it came out that Dean McDermott had an affair with Emily Goodhand while he was hosting Chopped Canada in Toronto. After that, he went to rehab for substance abuse and sex addiction. Tori chose to stay with him, but the healing process became very public. The couple worked through the aftermath on the Lifetime series True Tori. On her 2014 reality show, she said, "I feel so responsible for so many people, and I can't do it. I can't handle the responsibility of having to take care of so many people financially. The fear of that." Then she added something very self-aware, because she knew how people saw her. "It doesn't matter. I know people look at me and they're like, 'Oh, poor you.' Like, 'Boo-hoo, you have so many problems.'" That shows she understood the public image around her, but she was still living the stress in real life. Tori later explained why she felt she had to be so open about it. In 2016, she told people, "This wasn't going away. Everyone said, 'This happens all the time. Look at all the A-list celebrities. They used to complain about it. Then they go on and do a big movie and it just goes away. That's not my life. That's not my relationship with my fans." She also said, "I'm not the type that can just go from talking about everything and then it's like, no personal questions the next time I do something." That is a huge part of her story. She did not handle pain by disappearing. She handled it by putting it on camera, even when it made her more exposed. And while that kept her connected to the public, it also meant the next chapter of financial trouble would play out in public too. Debt headlines, tax trouble, and Candy stepping in. The reality TV image often looked glamorous, but by Tori's own admission and later reports, it did not match what was happening financially. She publicly said in 2013 that she was broke and had borrowed money from her mother to make ends meet. Candy even said, "My husband and I handed everything to our children, only later to realize that pushing up your shirt sleeves and digging in your heels is character building." At the same time, Tori and Dean were still tied to a lifestyle that looked expensive. Reports described high rent homes, luxury rentals, birthday parties, fancy cars, cosmetic procedures, beauty treatments, and family vacations, even while money problems were growing in the background. Then the legal and debt stories started stacking up. The couple had already sold a home at a loss in 2011, and in 2014, E! News reported a California tax lien for $259,108 tied to unpaid state taxes. In 2016, they made headlines for owing American Express around $39,000 in unpaid credit card bills. Candy told TMZ then that she was helping Tori and her family financially. She later explained the kind of help she was giving by saying, "I've been paying all her bills now, except I'm not paying extras like that. I'm not paying any back payments, just for the house, the kids' schools, and their food." There were also reports about federal tax debt, a City National Bank lawsuit tied to a loan, and court rulings that added interest to what was owed. Around this period, Tori also said, "My husband and I work really hard. I'm constantly out there working. It's so important for my children to see that both their parents are working, and we talk to them about it." That quote is important because it shows how she framed the struggle, not just as debt, but as a family trying to keep functioning while the public judged every move. And then, years later, a new old story would reopen the deepest wound of all. Work never stopped, even as the pressure built. Tori kept working across reality TV, hosting, voice acting, and guest appearances, and that work covered a lot of years. Home Sweet Hollywood got a spin-off called Tori and Dean, Storybook Weddings in 2011, though writers later filed a major lawsuit tied to claims about a similar series idea. In that same period, she voiced the pirate princess in Jake and the Neverland Pirates, appeared on Big Brother 13, hosted the My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, Royal Wedding Special in 2012, hosted Craft Wars, and appeared on Yo Gabba Gabba in a Christmas special. Later, Tori and Dean. Cabin Fever followed the family in Canada in 2014, and she starred in Mystery Girls with Jenny Garth that same year. She also voiced April in Izzy's Way Home in 2016, returned to mother May I Sleep with Danger. That year, hosted The Look. All stars from 2018 appeared in The Last Sharknado, It's About Time, competed as Unicorn on The Masked Singer in 2019. Tori herself wrote in Spelling It Like It Is, "It's no mystery why I have money problems. I grew up rich beyond anyone's wildest dreams. I never knew anything else." She added, "Even when I try to embrace a simpler lifestyle, I can't seem to let go of my expensive tastes. I moved houses to simplify my life, but lost almost $1 million along the way." She also said that despite her father's wealth, she refused to ask him for help when things got hard, and she started taking bit parts in films to make ends meet. She later appeared on international versions of The Masked Singer in Australia, France, and Spain. In 2020, she started the 90210MG podcast with Jenny Garth and Sisani Villaclara, and in September 2024, she was announced for Dancing with the Stars as Season 33 with Pasha Pashkov. So the work was real, and it was steady. But the money stress did not go away. The tears over the will and what it really meant. In 2023, Tori's first husband, Charlie Shanayan, gave an interview recalling the moment she broke down over her father Aaron Spelling's will. He said Tori learned about the terms of the will several years before Aaron's death, and that she was deeply upset. He remembered, when she found out about the will and the terms of the will, she was so upset. But he also said the pain was not simply about the money itself. According to Charlie, much of the hurt came from what the will structure meant, that her estranged mother would have financial control and influence over her life. He said Tori was crying and feeling upset, not about the money, but about what it meant that was structured in such a way. Then he shared one of the most human details in this whole story. He told her, "Remember, you once said you would live with me in a log cabin in Montana." And he said she replied through tears, "I know, but I thought I'd do it with my money." He described that moment as a mix of humor and pain, saying she had a great sense of humor, but there was a real pain in there about that. He also recalled another emotional moment when a doorman joked about Charlie's beat-up old car and said she should be in a limousine. Charlie said Tori completely collapsed crying, and that it was bigger than one joke. He described it as a cathartic cry about how people saw her and what that image was doing to her life and relationships. He also said that, from what he understood, Aaron may have hoped the will structure would bring Tori closer to Candy because it required a connection between them. Whether or not that was the plan, Charlie's story added something very personal to the inheritance headline. And once that story came back out, the timing lined up with another hard phase in Tori's life. Separation, dating headlines, and a divorce that kept shifting. By June 2023, Dean McDermott announced in a now-deleted Instagram post that he and Tori had decided to separate after many years together. By then, it was being talked about as the end of an 18-year relationship. And Tori's divorce filing listed the date of separation as June 17, 2023. Not long after the separation news, both of them started making headlines for new relationships. In October 2023, Dean was seen with Lily Kalo, and a source said it was clear things were over with Tori, and one thing led to another. The source added that Dean and Tori were separated, so Dean was free to date who he wanted. In November 2023, Tori was seen kissing CEO Ryan Kramer outside a Los Angeles hotspot, and they were reportedly on fairly icy terms, but trying to stay cordial. That same month, Dean spoke to the Daily Mail and said he had not seen Tori or their children since June 2023, though he remained in contact with her. He also spoke about how alcoholism affected his family and said he completed a 40-day rehab stay over the summer. On March 29, 2024, Tori officially filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. She asked for spousal support, legal fees, and sole custody while proposing shared legal custody. Dean later responded with a different separation date, opposed sole custody, requested joint custody, and asked that she pay him monthly support. During the divorce, he also alleged that Tori's income could range widely, saying she earned between $3,000 and $75,000 per month, depending on the job. Then, in November 2025, they settled the divorce, agreeing on support, custody, and division of property. The divorce became final on November 3, 2025. They were awarded joint legal custody of their 4 minor children, Stella, Hattie, Finn, and Beau, while Tori received primary physical custody and Dean got reasonable custodial timeshare. There was no child support, and they agreed to split health care and extracurricular costs equally. After years of public ups and downs, even the ending came with practical details, not a clean emotional reset. And while all this was happening, her money stress was still making headlines in real time. Homes, illness, clutter, and the weight of everything at once. The years around the split brought some of the most difficult public images of Tori's life. Back in 2023, after the separation announcement, she and her 5 children were forced to leave their home due to mold issues. They were photographed staying at a modest motel and later seen living in an RV park in California. The RV was described as high-end, but it was still a dramatic change from the mansion world people always connected to her name. In 2024, Tori and Dean were said to still owe over $200,000 to City National Bank linked to an old loan, and legal filings listed large amounts tied to collection efforts. Tori also spoke on her Misspelling podcast about unpaid storage units and sounded upset while going through the cost and the items inside. She said, "SAT, you guys? I don't think this is anything that I actually need. It's all Dean's stuff." And then, "I am so sad right now. I just wanted to get my memorabilia and my kids' stuff." In another 2026 update, she shared that she had been very sick for 8 weeks and called it hell. She said, "8 weeks I couldn't work. It all started with my sinuses," and described severe symptoms, an inner ear infection, and ongoing vertigo. She said it got so bad that her kids had to help her walk to the bathroom. Then, in the same podcast, a different kind of struggle at home came into focus when co-host Amy Sugarman described Tori's living space as borderline hoarder level after seeing a photo of the living room. Tori admitted she felt overwhelmed caring for 5 children and said the room had turned into a makeshift gifting suite and that it's all just sitting here in piles. When you line all these moments up, the inheritance pain, the debt pressure, the public breakup, the health scare, and the home stress, it becomes easier to understand why this story keeps hitting people so hard, and why the tears were never just about one check or one number. And that is exactly why this story still sparks so many different opinions. Do you think Tori Spelling's pain was mostly about the money itself, or about what the inheritance meant for her relationship with her family? And after hearing everything, do you feel more sympathy for her story, or do you think she still made too many choices that made things harder? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more incredible stories from Hollywood's fascinating history. See you next time.